All right, everybody, welcome in another edition of TigerBait's Inside LSU Women's Basketball. Mike Scarborough, of course, with Emily Ward, part of LSU's national championship team several years ago. And we've been doing this now. I guess this is our fourth or fifth episode. I think our fourth. And it's a big week, an important week for LSU women's basketball. Two regular season games left, Alabama tomorrow night, Ole Miss on Sunday. Two teams that are really kind of similar, I think. I want to say similar, but similar in, I think, the quality of their teams. Alabama ranked 20th. Ole Miss isn't ranked. But I think the caliber of their wins against top 10 and top 25 teams is similar. In fact, Ole Misses might actually be a little bit better, and they're absolutely both teams well coached. But Emily, these are two very important games for LSU when you're talking about seeding. And I was talking about it earlier. I think if LSU, and I don't think it's being a conspiracy theorist, but I think if LSU deserved a 1 seed, they're going to get a 2. If they deserve a 2 seed, they're going to be given a 3. Am I right? It seems like I don't know if you want to call out anybody on the selection committee, but my point is that LSU needs to win out here, win these games strong. Then you get the double bye in the SEC women's tournament and maybe make a run there. Don't give the selection committee any excuse to mess with you on the seed, because you absolutely, if you win your 2 games in Baton Rouge, you want to be in Birmingham rather than being sent out west for the next for the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think these next 2 games are very important. Obviously, they're at Alabama tomorrow, which is the last away game, and then they're home versus Ole Miss for their last game. Ole Miss is always difficult. I feel like even when both of us were unranked or in the past before Mulkey, we just always compete with Ole Miss. It's almost like an unspoken rival. I feel like it's always a close game, no matter if we're there or we're here. Alabama, of course, Christy Curry is their coach, and I actually have known her for a long time because her and my mom know each other. But very well coached team. Alabama is always a hard place to play at. So you need to win out. Hopefully we get the double bye in the SEC. I think we clinched it actually. So
Clinched it, yeah.
Yeah. Which is awesome because that means a lot. I know the SEC is not the NCAA tournament, but it does help if you get a big win in that. For seeding, I know, of course, hopefully we either get a 2 seed or a 3 seed for the tournament. I mean, 4 is, we would have to play great in the SEC tournament to get a 1 seed. But I think you just focus on these last 2 SEC games, get through the tournament, and then, in my personal opinion, it doesn't matter what seed you are, 1 through 4, as long as you get 1 through 4. We won when we were 3.
Look, I could be totally wrong, and I need to go brush up or find out how that'll play out from somebody who might have an inside track. But I think if you're a 2, you're probably safe from being sent out west for the round of 16.
That's true.
Whereas if you're a 3 or a 4, there's a good chance they're going to send you out there.
Yeah.
And I always just think they want to I think they always want to stick it to Kim. So, like they did with last year with Iowa, and instead of playing, and look, when has LSU seeding actually been what they deserved since she's been here? I think they've been slighted by 1 seed, by a -1 every year.
Yeah, I knew they were going to put him against Iowa next year just because it drew so many people watching. It had so much buzz around it. It will be a big difference if they get placed in Greenville or somewhere over there.
It's Birmingham.
Or not Greenville, sorry, Birmingham, yeah.
Whereas, Birmingham, the LSU fans are going to travel real well.
Yes.
Plus, you've got the following of the SEC women's basketball fan base that come out, even if they're fans of other SEC schools, because LSU's kind of done that. Even post Angel Reese, Flau'jae and Aneesah draw, and Mikaylah. Always got to throw Mikaylah in there. I think Kim nailed that the other day.
She did, yeah.
Didn't she nail that the other day
She did.
where Mikaylah gets slided? And I think she's absolutely right on that. But yeah, and what is it? It's either Portland or Saddle is the other one.
Yeah, something like that.
You don't want to go.
No,
you don't want to be out there.
You do not. I remember when we won, we were in Greenville. That's where I got Greenville from. But it was either Greenville or Spokane. And I remember Iowa was in Spokane, so they had to go all the way there and then go straight from the Sweet 16 games to Final Four. And that is just, you're gone for a long time. You're exhausted at that point, which it is in Tampa this year. So I don't know if, I mean, I'm assuming, I mean, we would be Baton Rouge just on the way back from Washington or wherever it is. But it's still long travel days. I mean, if you think about it, Ole Miss went to Spokane 2 years ago or whenever that was. And I mean, it's
I
definitely a
just think,
disadvantage. I remember them going all the way over there.
look, I could be totally talking out of school and don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm just telling you, if LSU's a 3 or a 4, and every team from the Southeast and the East is in Birmingham, they'll figure out a way to send LSU to out west. That's just my skepticism and my.
Mhm.
But anyways, by the way, we're keeping an eye on LSU baseball. We'll give you some score updates throughout that. Trucking with Casper comes in hot with a big super chat. Casper, thank you so much for supporting us. And he says,
Yeah,
just
thank
keeping the lights on. We thank you for that.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And anybody else, if you want to get some question or comments in, Emma and I are going to be here to answer those. And Jacques Doucet tells me he's probably going to pop in about 5 to 10 minutes. So, and we'll have him for 10 or 15 minutes before his food order arrives, which we're going to get out of here right at 8:15 or so anyways. But
Mhm.
yeah, the LSU Kentucky game, first half, LSU comes out a little slow, but boy, what a second half. And it might have been Day Wilson's best game as a Tiger. And it's something that you and I have talked about just about every week is how you need, whether it's her or KG or Miracle or Samaya
Mhm.
or Jersey. To me, if you could get a couple of those, and I mean, what did I just read off? 5 or 6
Mhm.
names. If you can get a couple of those to be consistent and step up their game a little bit, and then it be consistent, not where they have a great game and then disappear for 2 or 3. I think this LSU women's basketball team can probably go further than a lot of people think, which I was saying earlier, kind of, I like to look, all of us media like to talk, but while we're waiting for Kim to show up or whatever it might be. And I kind of quizzed some guys a few weeks ago, and we do it all periodically. And I think for the most part, most people have thought this team was a Sweet 16 team. But it so greatly depends on the draw, Emily. It's just, until you see the
Mhm.
brackets and how it all flushes out, and then you never know when you're going to get a performance from a reserve player that's can be a catalyst when Mikaylah's shots aren't falling or whatever it might be that particular game.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I was at a work event when they were playing Kentucky, so I only saw a little bit of the second half. But from what I saw at the end, and then reading the stats, and just kind of everyone talking to me about it, Georgia, in my opinion, Georgia Amore is one of the best point guards in the country, no doubt. Like probably within the top 5. Like she'll be drafted very high next year. Or this year, I guess. I'm a big Amore fan. We played against her in the Final Four game when we won. She's awesome, super athletic, and I think um, Cheyenne Day Wilson did a fabulous job on her. Um, I think like 14, 16 points or something, but I know she did not score that many in the second half. And I think Kim said it in the press conference after. She said it recently where everyone thinks that if you're a bench player, in order to think you had a good game, you have to score all these points or get all these other stuff. Sometimes it's defense. She locked down Georgia Amore just like how Alexis Morris would guard Caitlin. She would always guard the best player pretty much on the team. Um, and so I think she had a fabulous game that game, and she did all the hard work. I mean, no one likes to play defense. It's not fun. It's hard work. Um, So, but I give props to her because it's not easy to guard
She's
Georgia Moore.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And Kim
Hmm.
joked after the game that she told her in the line, how many more years you got left. And
Yeah. Hmm.
um, I thought Coach Mulkey had a good post game, and um, she always likes to. I don't know if she was. Look, she brought up the whole thing about Kentucky not playing in Rupp Arena, and do they like
Yeah.
that? And um, uh, she always gives a little something to chew on that the media can
Hmm.
take one way or the wrong way. But yeah. By the way, LSU top of the third is leading Dallas Baptist 1-0. So this is a pretty darn good game over there at Global Life Field. All right, let's see here. Need to talk about our sponsor, and that's Dykes Electrical. They sponsored this Inside LSU Women's Basketball show each and every week, and they're the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. So if you need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. A 200,000 square foot warehouse you need built, they can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building, they can wire that. If you're just changing out a breaker, a whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office, they can wire that. Upgrading the old lighting in your home or office, they can wire that. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. A Baton Rouge local company, do fantastic work, huge jobs. And they are absolutely big LSU fans, and we're proud to have them as the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. This Alabama game, you mentioned Coach Curry. I tend to think, I don't say tend to think, is that the closest relationship that Coach Mulkey has in the SEC, an opposing coach? I know they go back many years, and I mean, I think she's got a lot of coaches that she's known before she came to the SEC, but I think Coach Curry might be the one coach that maybe she's
Yeah.
the closest to.
Yeah. I want to say yes. I'm kind of like listing them all in my head. But I want to say definitely like the closest or goes back the longest closest friend. So, which a lot of them are like newer to the SEC, but I know she's known Coach Curry for a long time. And she in practice she always talks so highly about her and her husband because her husband's the assistant coach too. So, but they're awesome people.
Well, look who's joining us. We got Jacques Doucet with WAFB. What's up, Jacques?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Emily. How you
Hi.
guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I can't remember the last time I've seen him wearing a tie.
It's kind of a requirement. Well, you can wear the jacket without the tie, Mike. You do that pretty often. You don't wear ties, I don't think.
No, if I'm wearing a tie, it's probably a not a good situation or somebody's getting married.
Could be the same thing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to what you guys were saying, and Emily, I think Coach Mulkey's first year at LSU, she should have won SEC Coach of the Year, right? She took a team that had like 9 wins and then won 26 the next year. Well, she did not get Coach of the Year, went to Dawn Staley. And I think I learned only 2 people voted for Mulkey, and Coach Curry was one of them.
Yeah.
Out of the entire
I did know
SEC.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and that goes to what I was saying earlier, Jacques, about how important these 2 remaining games are. Alabama on the road tomorrow night, Ole Miss on Sunday. And then, of course, you've already cinched the double bye. And then, to me, you want to get that higher seed. And it's because whether it's that vote for Coach of the Year that year or whatever it is, if LSU deserves a number 1 seed, they end up getting a 2. If they deserve a number 2, they give them a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the host sites beyond hosting the 2 games at home, it's either Birmingham or Portland or Seattle. What is it? Is it Portland or Seattle? The one out west.
I think it's Spokane, Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, then maybe that's it. It's out west.
Yeah.
And so, in my mind, they will find a way to get LSU out there instead of putting them in Birmingham. Just my own. I don't know that it's necessarily a conspiracy theory. I think there's some absolute truth to it. So don't win out and do well in the SEC tournament, even though Kim likes to downplay at the SEC women's basketball tournament. She downplays them, but LSU performs well there.
Well,
except one time, Kentucky.
I certainly don't hope that
Yeah.
LSU gets. I certainly hope LSU doesn't get sent out to Spokane, Washington after, we all ate the Albany, New York sandwich last year, which was, no offense to anybody from Albany, New York, but that was terrible. I mean, cold, gray, dreary. What are we doing out here? All these miles away from home. It'd be very nice if LSU got the Birmingham. That's a 5-6 hour drive. We've done that a million times, whether we're going to Tuscaloosa or SEC Media Days in Birmingham or Atlanta or whatever. And if they go to the Final Four, that's in Tampa. So that'd be perfect. So got to win 2 games here before you can even talk about that. But, certainly I think Alabama over the years, women's basketball is like their worst sport. I mean, they were terrible for years. And so Curry's done a great job of getting them ranked and having a great team. And I would think, I'm just going to do a little prediction. I think that Sunday's game against Ole Miss, that'll be the largest home crowd of the year. I think it's the regular season finale Sunday afternoon. Last chance to see them. Not the last chance you're going to host, but, last regular season game, I think it's going to be the biggest crowd to see women, the LSU women this year against Ole Miss.
Absolutely. And, I mean, I'm not, going to be the turd in the punch bowl, but I brought it up on our previous show. And Emily, I think I've asked you this before to give some insight, but regardless of where this thing goes in the postseason, is it a decision for Flau'jae or isn't it? Is she coming back? What do you is it 100% she's coming back? I mean, I think you and I talked about it, and you were kind of with me, 50-50, 60-40. So you got to be keeping an eye on that. Is it a done deal that Flau'jae comes back, or are you possibly only going to see her for 3 more games in Baton Rouge?
Yeah, I have not heard anything since we talked about it last. I said that I know that her getting a college degree is very important to her. But like I said, I don't know if she is graduating early or if she's still has another year left to get that degree. I'm hoping she stays. Just from knowing her, I feel like she will, but I don't want to say anything and then be totally wrong, or be the opposite. I don't want to speak for her actually, but fingers crossed that she comes back. I'm leaning more towards she's staying, but I don't like I said, I don't want to.
And by the way, the only reason why I bring that up is because I've caught her. What is her? Is it TikTok? Where does she do a little show that she does?
TikTok, live. She's on live. Mm-hmm.
And she threw it out there. I don't know, maybe it was 6 weeks ago. I have to go back and look at the date, but what should I do? I'm not sure. And she was tossing it out there herself. So I'm not stirring the pot needlessly.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be her team next year.
Yeah, and she's gonna have success if she stays or if she goes. She obviously has a ton of NIL that she earned, and that's gonna follow her no matter, or the endorsements, I guess, not NIL when she leaves. But I don't think that part of everything is affecting her decision at all.
Jock, you got any insight? What would you set it at? 70-30, she's back? 80-20?
Yeah, I speak with her mom when I see her. She's always been very sweet to me. I haven't brought that up. You brought it up to me the other day. I falsely just assumed that she'd be back. I never gave that much thought, but I need to obviously think about it. I mean, your first thought is money, and can she make more money at LSU than she can in the WNBA? And then she's got the whole rapper entertainment thing. I mean, what is Flau'jae Johnson's market, or what's her value if she goes on a tour? I mean, can she go city to city? Can she do 15, 20 cities in the South and do 500 seaters, or even draw 200 or 300 people that'll pay $20 to see her? I mean, I don't know. That's another thing too with her music. What's her potential there? So those are all things to think about. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how many people would pay money to see Flau'jae in person as a performer, but obviously she's been well known since she's been 12 years old when she went on America's Got Talent or whatever and made the semifinals. So that's another interesting, angle to it. So,
well, the other angle is she's got a boyfriend here in town. And he plays football, and he's got another year, right?
Yeah. Well, if Flau'jae can keep Chris Hilton Jr. healthy for 12 games, please continue. Come back, because I love Chris. I love his family and everything. It's just, man, if they could keep him healthy for 12 games, because the end of the last 2 seasons, especially that Oklahoma game, the regular season finale, he looked like a, All-American out there.
Emily, what is it like being a player heading into with these last 2 games and then the SEC tournament? Is there, we talk about it probably weekly about the grind at this time of year, but and maybe you can give us a little inside baseball. While Kim has downplayed the, I don't know, Jock can imitate her better than I can, or remember her exact quotes, but downplaying the SEC tournament, not necessarily acting like it means anything. But but behind the scenes, I know she wants those games, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, she obviously, the SEC, your SEC games lead up to how you do in the SEC tournament. SEC tournament can affect NCAA rankings. So like in a way, they kind of already know, but I mean, you're still an athlete, you're still a coach, you still want them to go out and do your best. It's really like the last kind of final few things that you can correct before you go into the NCAA tournament. So you want to kind of like figure out the last little tweaks and everything. You want to make sure everyone stays healthy is another thing for that. And just, yeah, it's not as big of a deal, but you still want to go and win and do the best you can. You're not just going to obviously blow the game, because it doesn't matter. Like, it does matter.
And you probably have a good shot at avenging a loss to Texas or South Carolina,
yeah,
or both.
Yeah. So it's hard to like be an athlete and say that, oh, we don't care about the SEC tournament, because you do. It's still a game in the end. Like the year we won, we played Tennessee in the semifinals and we were winning by 17. They came back, beat us, and we were like, that was horrible. But it was a lesson learned, because we were down a lot by Virginia, or we were losing by a lot to Virginia Tech at one point in that game, in the Final Four game. And then also, we were beating Iowa by 17 at halftime, and we were like, we're not doing this again. Like, for real, we're not. So it almost kind of helped that we had already experienced that, and we were like pedal to the metal, still don't let up. So you learn your lesson.
And Mike, the difference is that, like in the men's game, for example, the men's SEC tournament, if some Cinderella has to get hot and win 4 games in 4 days, you maybe kind of worry about, them gassing themselves before they get to the NCAA tournament. Well, the women have that week off,
Yeah.
unlike the men. So they can maybe kind of go for it a little bit more. I mean, they're young people, obviously, but they'll have a week of rest and recovery before they're hosting in Baton Rouge. So that's the difference between the men and the women there.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. By the way, it's still 1-0 LSU, top of the 4th against Dallas Baptist. Looks like a bit of a pitching duel going on here. All right. Hakeem Batiste, glad y'all two making this thing work. It's a good vibe y'all have, and I'm definitely a supporter of y'all's platform. Go Tigers. Yeah, if we have that much effort on defense in the 4th quarter, we will be hard to beat. Talking about the way LSU
Kentucky
played on Sunday. And Michael Pinnell, she's going to be back. There's no real reason to leave. There's still not enough roster spots. It's going to be a very pivotal transfer portal. Obviously got a really nice high school class coming in, but we talk about Matt McMahon and how important the portal is for him. The portal is going to be extremely important for women's basketball as well. Losing Morrow. I don't know if you can find one like her out there.
No, I love Morrow. She's an awesome player. I mean, if we can find someone like Morrow, that would be great for us. I'm trying to think. Does anyone else graduate besides, I know Flau'jae, or possibly Flau'jae, but is she the only? No, Amani leaves too. I mean, I think the portal is always a big deal. Of course, I know we have a lot of freshmen coming in as well, but they're still young. They still have to learn a lot. Yeah, I think the portal is going to be very important. No matter, I mean, it's important every year, but with losing Morrow, it's going to be very important.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, I tell you what.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I think we covered just about anything. Anything y'all want to add on before we get out of here? Jacques, anything you want to add about the LSU women's basketball team?
I think they've I think LSU's gotten flack from people about their schedule in the non-conference, but this might be the best resume that Kim Mulkey and them have racked up, since she's been here in terms of beating Tennessee twice. That's a ranked team they beat twice. Beating Oklahoma at home, beating Kentucky on the road, and then NC State, right, is knocking on the top 10. They beat them it's been a long time ago. It was in that Bahama tournament, but that's a lot of good victories and a good resume.
It's also because of having two new teams in the SEC. Even your losses don't kill you. But yeah, you've gone from the first several years where you've only had two SEC teams in the top 25, and almost the entire run of this season, you've had 7. And sometimes, if you're including others receiving votes, 8. You can look at Ole Miss's resume, and they're not ranked right now, but it's not far from Alabama's. They almost look like two, and Ole Miss was ranked, has been ranked for weeks during this season. So, you're right, Jock.
Yeah.
You added Texas and Oklahoma, two really nice women's basketball programs for the first time this year. So, between the SEC men's basketball rankings and the SEC women, it's crazy how great SEC basketball is right now, both women and men.
Well, and obviously Mulkey's so great and the staff's so great that they are playing in games that they never played in the previous decade. I mean, the previous decade, I think LSU might have been ranked in the top 25, maybe 5 weeks total. Anytime they got ranked, they'd lose and they'd be bounced out. And a lot of people were disappointed and frustrated when they lost that game at Texas. And rightfully so. I mean, it was a game I think that was there for the taking, and LSU should have won. But when you look at it, and your only 2 losses of the year are on the road to 2 top 5 opponents, you got a pretty stout resume there. Mike, I never forget towards the end of the previous regime, I had a guy that used to go to all the Final Four games when Pokey was the coach, and Simone and Sylvia and all that. And he texted me. He's like, I'm so bored. I counted. There's 323 people here. It was like at the end of the year or whatever. And that's how, obviously you went from nobody caring to everybody caring. And the deal is when everybody cares and maybe forgets how quickly things have been turned around, they get frustrated and, get a little angrier than they should when they lose a game, heaven forbid.
It all changed when that private jet pulled up at Baton Rouge Airport, and you had the purple carpet and Mike the Tiger and a band, and it was on, wasn't it, Emily? From then on, it's been on.
Yeah, we haven't stopped, which is a good thing, great thing.
Then she stepped to that podium. They take this mask off,
That was awesome. She was starting trouble from the get-go with that one.
Well, not to be messy, but when she got here, I think all the people that were hugging her and telling her hello, they're all gone. Like, it was like Coach O met her at the practice facility. There was Will
Maneri.
There was Maneri. She picked up Maneri, right?
Yeah, I was out there.
And so all those coaches are no longer here. They've all moved on in one regard or another. So the last I checked, Mulkey's record was 116 and 115 at LSU. So I think it might be like 118 and 16 now. She's like 112 games over 500 or something like that at LSU. It's insane.
That's crazy, actually.
Well, she got her 750th win Sunday.
And she celebrated the 700th one, I think, maybe her first year. One of those. I mean, it wasn't long ago.
Right.
It must have been the year we won my senior year. Because if you win 25 each year around that time, around that many.
Here we go. LSU seems like the only team to get punished for winning. They have 6 quad 1 wins and still ranked 7th in the country and could possibly be a 3 seed. That's what I'm talking about. There's a bias, and we know how the national media have been, and so take care of business and don't give them any reason to give you a seed that you don't deserve.
Well, it's a little bit different, but is it the same, Mike, as like, Dale Brown, and he was so outspoken about the NCAA and stuff, and they would hammer him anytime they got a chance. And Mulkey doesn't really talk about the NCAA, but she's obviously an outspoken person, and so I don't know if that's a similar thing or what, but you know, you're right. Every year we gather around for that party, and the number goes up and they clap, but there's also kind of we should be one spot higher. So.
Well, it is. She's not going to say it, but I think other people need to say it for her, because I'll say it again and again and again. I think that they'll do everything they can to again, not give her the votes for Coach of the Year, or give them a 3 seed when they deserve a 2, and on and on.
Well, last year, the LSU Iowa game, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese rematch, that should be a Final Four game. That should not be an Elite Eight game. Elite Eight's great. I mean, That's an accomplishment to make it that far, but you know, should have seen that in Cleveland and not in Albany, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. All right, guys, another great show. LSU baseball playing. I think we're gonna have a lot to talk about on next week's show. Jacques, man, thanks for joining us. I did Jacques a dirty. I said, hey man, come join us about 15 minutes. I think after he had just ordered his dinner tonight. So he's always a trooper, and appreciate him hopping on with me and Emily. And we'll be back next week for another one.
I'm here 70% for Emily and 30% for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody's here for Emily. I'm just the wallpaper. All right, everybody. Thank you all. Good night.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Good night.
All right.